Welcome to Noosh channel. I'm Noosh, and when I started university, I was going through one of the worst times of my life. Just before I started uni, an older friend told me that freshers would be the most chaotic, euphoric, amazing experience. My introductory lectures were all filled with, "I'm sure you're all having a wonderful time," as if there was no possible universe in which freshers could not be good. It is drilled into your head that freshers is the time of your life. So what happens if freshers is the time where your life falls apart? I feel like I'm one of the only people I know who had a truly awful freshers. And not only was I really struggling, but it was while everybody else was having an actively good time. It was like I was drowning at a water park. So freshers week and your first semester of uni are already really challenging. You're surrounded by new people, having to manage new tasks in a new place. But when a major life event happens during that time, you have to process that while trying to bond with total strangers, learning a new bus timetable, and figuring out what the hell a Chicago-style citation is. A difficult freshers can come in many forms. For me, I had a loved one die suddenly just before I went to university, and a really sudden, brutal breakup just after I got there. On top of that, I moved really far away from anyone I had ever been close to. Maybe you're going through something similar. Maybe you're going through something completely different. Maybe a mental health problem is swallowing you up. Maybe you miss your friends or your family or your pets so much it physically hurts. Maybe you just saw or experienced something really bad and you don't know how to make sense of it. Maybe you're just super overwhelmed and you feel like you can't do anything right. No matter what it is, difficult times in difficult environments can have a huge impact on you and your brain. So it's really important to take care of yourself as best as you can while you try to navigate everything. As somebody who had a traumatic freshers, I thought I'd make you something to try and help you through it. This video isn't all about drinking, but I'm just going to get it out the way. For starters, alcohol is hugely encouraged in freshers culture. If you are having a terrible time, it's really easy to look to alcohol as a form of escapism. If you are going to do that, having some basic rules in place will stop things from just getting way worse in the long run. Listen, you are already going through it. You don't need to make things worse for yourself right now. So if you are having a traumatic freshers and you still want to do the whole freshers binge drinking thing, here are some laws to stick by. Number 1, before you go out, have food and water ready for when you get home. Even if you stop at a kebab shop on the way home, have food and water ready. It'll also probably be cheaper than the kebab shop. Like, support your local, but also save that money. Have carbs ready for when you get back. Garlic bread, cup noodles, toast, microwavable leftovers. Something that doesn't require your drunk self touching hot kitchen appliances, like a box of mini muffins, cookies from the supermarket bakery section, anything with lots of carbs. When you get home, eat the carbs and drink the water before you go to bed every time. Hangovers, not good for your mental health. God knows you don't need that right now. Food and water will help. You come back, you're drunk, sad, and alone with your thoughts at a vulnerable period in your life. You know what will fix that? Microwaved leftover baked potato with butter and garlic powder. I should volunteer for Samaritans. Number 2, this rule is from experience. As soon as you start feeling uneasy, call it a night. If you start feeling like you want to leave, go home. But here's the trick. Actually go straight home. End the night, go to sleep. You will feel so much better. If you're not in a dangerous or unpleasant situation, then try not to just leave. Tell someone you trust. Don't be afraid to be like, "I'm not doing well, I need to go home now." Maybe ask them to come with you if you feel like it, or don't be afraid to accept their company if they offer it. But genuinely, just go straight back. There will be other nights out, there's no shame in an honorable retreat, and you'll be safe and feel a lot better when you just hard reset your night. Number 3, if excess drinking is causing you problems, if you're injuring yourself, if you're having money issues, if it's ruining your relationships, if you're having really bad mental health spirals when you're drunk, dial it back. Like I said, you really don't need your life to be harder than it is right now. And there's nothing wrong with scaling it back, especially if the problems it's causing persist after the night ends. People won't care, you're not in school. If they do, they're genuinely not worth impressing. Be honest with yourself about when it's causing issues and drink less when it does. Like, go crazy if you want, I'm not your mom, but keep these rules close by. Carbs and water when you get back. If you feel bad, go home. If it's causing problems, dial it back. It's also totally fair to be like, "I'm not doing well right now, I'm just not going to drink." In fact, it's definitely the responsible thing to do. I should have promoted that first. Obviously, alcohol is a big part of freshers culture, but there's always space for people who don't drink. Not gonna lie, I didn't go out once in freshers. It's not because I was responsible and taking care of my mental health, it was because I was 17 and didn't have an ID I could use. Honestly, apart from the whole crushing grief and panic and despair, I had a really great time. I met loads of people in my halls who were either also 17 or just didn't drink. A lot of us are still friends now. We just hung out like people. It was great. And I just went out the next year, when I was doing a lot better and with people I'd actually become friends with. Breakups. I said I was broken up with pretty much in Freshers Week. We'd been together for a long time, and let me tell you, I thought we were going to make it. And it wasn't just me. All my new friends who had come to uni in relationships broke up that month. My single friend was literally checking us off. It sucked. Being in a new place is already really difficult without that person that you typically look to for comfort. It might feel like your life is totally hollowed out and that everything without this person just seems really bleak. My biggest piece of advice is just keep building your life anyway. Even if you have no desire to and nothing seems as important as the person or the relationship that you've lost, go through the motions of having a good and fulfilling time. Literally fake it till you make it. Firstly, when you start to feel better, and you will have a full life already set up for you to dive into and enjoy. If you fully cut yourself off from the rest of your life, you're going to have less waiting for you when you heal. And secondly, when you look back on this time, the times that you force yourself to leave your bed will be the ones you remember. Trust me, your breakdowns, they all start to blend together. But I still remember sitting in the kitchen with my fellow underagers one night because I forced myself to get out of bed, even though my stomach physically hurt and I felt really disconnected from everything. We were all still laughing and doing dumb stuff on each other's phones. That's what I remember. And it's a great memory. Like, would I have preferred to stay in bed at the time? Obviously, I felt like shit. But I'm really glad I didn't. Listen, it won't always work. I went to the intro meeting for a new society, spent the entire time reading my ex's old messages, and then left early. I also started going to the library with my course mates after class instead of just rushing home to rot. I went to another society event and met people there and filled my nights. And eventually I could do all of these things with these people that I'd met and actually enjoy them because I'd spent time establishing them instead of just burrowing under my blankets and watching Netflix. If you got broken up with in Freshers, I'm so sorry. Remember that you are still your own person, with your own agency, personality, and ability to fight for yourself. You were always your own person throughout this relationship. You were worthy and capable of love and connection before this relationship, and you are worthy and capable of it now. I promise. Next thing, be honest with everyone. Firstly, be honest with yourself. Understand that you are currently going through it. Understand that you can't do it alone and that you need help, and ask for it. Be honest with new people that you meet. Meeting people is so difficult when you're going through a traumatic time. There's a lot of pressure to present yourself as the best version of yourself for other people to like you. And when you're going through a traumatic time, your sense of self is often really disrupted. So it feels impossible to present yourself to people when you feel like a shell of a person with nothing to offer them. If people are asking how your Freshers is going, it's okay to be like, I'm actually having a terrible time. Let people be there for you. I've made so many incredible, loving friendships that way. Be honest with people back home if you can. Obviously, this is situationally dependent, but if you have people you can trust where you come from, pretending everything is fine achieves nothing. There's no point in closing off potential avenues for help. I was sort of forced to open up to my parents as a result of accidents. I didn't really have a trusting relationship with them before I went to university, but honestly the distance and the new autonomy helped a lot. I understand that this isn't a given, but honestly it's pretty common for your relationship with your family to improve when you move out. I'm glad I did open up to them. I needed all the support I could get. Same with my friends from home. A lot of us bonded over different things that we were struggling with and got closer than we honestly ever had been in school. FaceTime is a wonderful thing. This is a big one. Be honest with your lecturers. Tell the people leading your classes that you're struggling. You might feel awkward emailing them like, hey, just so you know, every day is a living hell and I feel like I'm fighting for my life. Do it though. At the very least, they can help you manage your coursework or get extensions for deadlines. They can also direct you to support systems in the university. They're kind of hit or miss, but they are definitely worth trying because they are going to be more helpful than other Freshers. Sometimes they'll even just let you come in for a chat. Your teachers tend to be a lot more human in university than they do in school, and they can be really, really helpful. Last thing, try not to panic or make any sudden decisions. If you're having a really awful time, you might be tempted to just drop out immediately. Other people, like family, might also see you struggling and be putting a lot of pressure on you to give up and come home. Ultimately, this is up to you. A big reason why I didn't drop out is because I thought it would be really embarrassing if I did, I wish I'd known that there's no shame in it either way. Just know that you aren't going to feel like this forever. I know this sounds like a lie, but how you feel right now is not how this uni or this place or even how university in general feels. It's how trauma feels. And you aren't going to permanently exist in this traumatized state. Time heals, community heals, mental health help heals. Speaking of, definitely keep in mind the fact that you aren't going to feel like this forever if you're considering even more drastic life changes that I can't say under YouTube community guidelines. Even though I'm not allowed to talk about it, you are, and you should. If you're in the UK and your mental health is really bad, you can just go to A&E. If you go off your own accord, you won't be sectioned. You can and you should tell your university what you're experiencing. They won't get you into any kind of trouble. At the very least, they'll probably help you relax your deadlines. Listen, man, between me and you, however I might feel now or in the future, I am so glad that I didn't let a miserable 17-year-old decide when my life ends. And I'm so glad it didn't end over coursework or something stupid like that. If you or someone else is in danger, tell someone. Like an actual adult. Don't try to handle this yourself. It sucks and you don't have to. I'll put some resources in the description. Don't hesitate to use them. I had a traumatic freshers. I'd go as far as to say it was some of the worst times of my life. However, in that time, I made incredible friendships that I still have. I explored new places. I learned how to cook and how not to cook. I celebrated my birthday, discovered how much I love video game arcades, learned that I have a terrible gaydar, and even though it felt like I was being destroyed, I feel very distant from that time of my life now. Like, back then, I thought my McDonald's order was a filet of fish. I'm from Scotland. I thought it would remind me of home. Filet of fish. That girl is a stranger to me. My freshers experiences ended up affecting me for a long time after they happened, but honestly, I still had a really great university experience in spite of all the terrible stuff that took place. There was a moment that I had at the end of my first year. My friends from my course and I had just finished our exams, so we went to the uni bar. I tried amaretto for the first time, because why not? And we took a bunch of pictures, and then afterwards we went to Tesco, bought a chocolate cake, and then walked across the bridge at night, eating the cake with our hands. In that moment, I was like, I'm so glad I stayed. In every sense of the word. I never thought I would be, but I'm glad I stayed. A moment like that is waiting for you, my friends. If you're having a traumatic freshers, you're not alone. I'm so sorry, but you're going to be okay. And one day, you'll be able to talk about it as casually as I'm talking about it now. Microwaved leftover baked potato with butter and garlic powder. Salted butter.